Hey, welcome to Playing Life's Game podcast with Coach Freddie. This episode is about sailing through life, playing life's game. Sailing can be fun, exhilarating, adventurous, treacherous, dangerous, but exciting, inspiring, joyful, relaxing, and always challenging. Sailing is a perfect metaphor for life and success in life. You are constantly learning. It's you navigating through whatever nature throws at you. To reach your dream destination, it's never in a straight line. You must tack back and forth through waves, currents, tides going in and out, around rocks and obstacles, through rain and fog, strong winds and no winds, while always keeping your eyes focused on your destination, your dream island in paradise. I've been sailing for a long time and have learned a lot of lessons that I applied to my life on shore. So how did it all start? Well, I arrived in San Francisco in 1966 to start a new job running the world's largest sourdough French bread bakery, Lariber Brothers Bakery on 3rd and Gary in San Francisco. It was a big career move for me, and I loved it. I would get off work around 10 o'clock on Saturday mornings and would go down to the San Francisco Bay and walk along the shore watching all the sailboats. On this one particular Saturday morning, there were a bunch of sailboats tacking around each other, and I asked one of the guys watching them, "What are they doing?" And he said, "They're getting ready to start a race." It was exciting to see how they managed not to run into each other. And when the gun went off, they all started across an imaginary line between two sailing buoys. It was exciting and inspiring at the same time. And right away, I wanted to go sailing. I wanted to own a sailboat. And most of all, I wanted to be an expert sailor. For the next few months, I kept thinking about being an expert sailor. I knew from my baking experience and success that you needed coaching and a school to learn the art of sailing. So I found a sailing school in Sausalito and I took lessons. I knew it would take practice and commitment to go from a novice to an expert, and I was ready for the task. I found a 14-foot West White Potter sailboat with a trailer and bought it. It didn't have a motor, but hey, it was a sailboat. I'd be using the wind. So I started going out every weekend practicing with the guys that I knew from the Keg, a local pub we hung out at on Clement Street. We had a great time drinking beer and sailing around Sausalito. And a few times we had to paddle back because the wind died down. Now that I was getting better at sailing, not yet an expert, but confident enough to ask this cute girl, Mickey, that I was dating for a sail on a San Francisco afternoon, and she was excited, and so was I. We launched the West White Potter in the Mission District south of San Francisco in the South Bay. It was protected from the high winds of the main San Francisco Bay. The wind was hardly moving, so I thought this would be a good time to test my new sail out. It was called a Genoa jib. It was twice the size of a regular jib. So I hoisted up the sails. We began to sail. It was perfect. After about an hour, the wind kept increasing, and then we had too much sail up. I knew from my sailing lessons that it was wise to take one of the sails down. And when I released the jib halyard, it jammed, and the Genoa only came down halfway, and that made it worse. We were about a half a mile from shore and being pushed more and more into the South Bay. And I knew the Oakland estuary was straight across somewhere where we could find a marina. I was frustrated, and Mickey heard every cuss word out of my mouth. I turned the boat downwind, and as we go closer to what I thought was the estuary, was the Alameda Coast Guard station, and we headed straight in. I had to try to get into one of the slips somehow, and as we passed a couple of the Coast Guard guys, they saw that we were soaking wet and asked if we needed some help, and I nodded and said, yeah. They jumped into action and backed this 50-foot Coast Guard cutter out in seconds, came alongside of us, tossed me a line, and helped me lower the sails and put us into one of the empty berths. Saved by the Coast Guard. Not a good way to impress a girl that you liked. They showed us where we could catch a bus back to San Francisco. Lots of lessons here. Number one is to make sure you give your crew some instructions and knowledge about sailing. Number two is to have a motor on a sailboat. It can save your life. And number three, make sure you have a radio to call for help if necessary. And oh yes, we did have life jackets on. These lessons apply to just about everything in life. We got back to the keg and told them about our adventures and learned to laugh at our unfortunate mishaps. We survived this time, and people at the bakery found out too because Mickey worked there. After all that, we still dated. Then we got engaged. I sold the 14-foot West White Potter, bought a brand new Columbia 26 with a motor and a lot of safety equipment, including a radio. And yes, we got married and sailed off to the Sacramento Delta to spend our honeymoon for a week. And then, 8 months and 29 days later, our son Corey was born on the day I was racing in the Sausalito Cruising Club sailboat race. Ironic how things turned out, huh? I was inspired to be an expert sailor, to go sailing, to own a sailboat. After sailing for over 50 years, I would consider myself an expert now. 30 years in the San Francisco Bay, sailing in the British Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Sea of Cortez in Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico and Florida. And oh yeah, I did take a 38-foot steel hull houseboat down the rivers from Pittsburgh to New Orleans. I hope life is smooth sailing for you. Hey, this is Coach Freddie, playing life's game and sailing through life, inspiring people to do things that inspire them, and bringing out the best in people. And remember, life is like sailing. It's never in a straight line.